Hey guys, this is Dr. David Berdan, and I figured I'd do a little bit of a video, get to know the doc. Kind of, what are some of the fun stories I've got, why do I do what I do, all that fun jazz. So, I've been open my practice at the time of making this video for 1 year and 5 months, and it's been an interesting experience. It's, there's some things that I expected to see, there's some things I didn't expect to see, and there's some things that I just had no idea along the way that I would even be able to get results with. And funny enough, those tended to be the things that I got results with very, very quickly. So, yeah, so I made a little bit of a list here for myself, and one of those was funny story. So, um, kind of torn on that. I had two really, really funny ones. One was a patient came in with a frozen shoulder. And we were talking about some stuff when I was doing some of the exam procedures and found out that they played the opposing faction that I played in a game called World of Warcraft. And so I was like, all right, so if I can knock out this frozen shoulder issue and give you full range of motion back in one visit, you've got to call up your brother-in-law and basically kind of give the cheer for the faction that I played when they played the opposite faction. So we kind of had a fun little game there going on, but I did knock it out in one. I gave them full range of motion in one session. It was really cool. I don't think they made that call, but if they did, that would be awesome. Um, that was a really fun one. The other one was um, a patient came in with carpal tunnel syndrome, and their medical doctor said that the only way that you can treat this is with surgery. And he told me that, and I was like, challenge accepted. A couple minutes later, worked on both wrists, gave them complete feeling back in their hands in one session. And they're like, wow, this is amazing. Oh no, now I have to worry about hitting my hands on the cupboard and actually feeling pain. So I got a good chuckle out of that. I thought it was one of those comments that's really unexpected. It was pretty funny. So I think that those are kind of the funnier stories that I've had so far. Um, let's see. What do I do during some of my free time? So sometimes I'm watching different docs, doing research on Google, YouTube, trying to figure out what are other docs doing in their practices, such as like physical therapists. What kind of physical therapy procedures do they like to do for different conditions? So that way I can just add on to the list of things that I know and just continually evolve and learn as I go along. Um, Other than that, I like to PC game with my wife, like a lot of people. Um, right now we're playing kind of a ranching, farming game. It's really cute. Um, that's been fun. In the past, I've played pretty much almost every genre of game that's out there. Um, yeah, they're all very different. Sometimes I'm in the mood for one, not in the mood for another, and at any point it can flip back and forth. But those are a fun time sink. Uh, but yeah, that's just kind of some of the stuff I do in the free time. Some of my mentors. So I had some really good mentors when I was going through school. Initially, what kind of set me off a little bit in the direction of wanting to do what I do was a biology instructor. And it was really interesting. He was like, yeah, I really love biology because it's studying all about me, and I want to know all about me. And I was like, yeah, that's a good reason. It was really energetic. He made it fun. And for most people who've gone through several classes, if you have a good teacher, they will make or break that subject. They will make it stupidly difficult, even though the actual material might not be very difficult. They can make it stupidly difficult just by not being engaged in what they teach and stuff like that. Or on the other side, you can have somebody who's like really energetic. They'll be teaching you a hard subject that's probably really, really dry. But if they're really energetic, they can really captivate all the students' attention and be able to effectively teach that stuff. Um, that was one. I had a great teacher for the physical therapy section of my coursework. Um, this guy, I think most of his practice was just straight up physical therapy, a little bit of adjusting, but it was primarily a physical therapy practice setup. And he was phenomenal. I learned so much from that guy. And I feel bad that I don't remember him anymore because I would love to reach out and touch bases with him. But I learned a lot of procedures that, there was the typical one that you would have to know for boards. And then he taught us like a variation of like, hey, you can do it this way and it's a lot safer and there's a lot less risk of injuring a patient. So there were some really cool gems that I learned from him. Um, Another one was D'Onofrio. He, well, both him and Irene Gold, they did. They were part of Irene Gold's board review series, and Dr. D'Onofrio was absolutely amazing when he taught X-ray portion for boards. It was just, it was complex, but it was simple enough that you could remember it in your head and go, okay, these are the steps I need to go through to get through this. And it was just amazing. I still use a lot of the techniques that he taught during that board review, things that I wish were taught to me during my normal coursework. But he was just out of the park awesome. Irene Gold herself, um, I actually had to fly cross country to go take the board reviews with her. And this teacher was crazy. Like, literally, was like, okay, here is your entire coursework for chiropractic. I am going to shove it back down your throat, and you're going to be engaged during the entire time. So, like, one of the things she had an eagle eye. Anytime somebody might have yawned or anything like that, or maybe they're not participating as much as she would like, she would always be like, you, answer this question. And it was always just like, okay, here's this. Boom, you answer this. What do you think this is? Okay, no, that's right. That's not right. No shaming or anything like that. It was just straight boom. You answer this. You answer this. It was phenomenal. I've never learned so quickly in my life, and there was a lot of stuff that I just didn't know, didn't cover, and I learned it so fast with her. Um, I had another instructor during school. I sadly forgot his name. Really good. Um, Teaching us, he taught us more of the bizarre things that we may or may not encounter and really challenged our critical thinking, which I really appreciated. He was a blast. I think it was more like advanced diagnosis or something like that. Don't quote me on that because I know I'm wrong on that, but it was pretty cool. Um, I actually had one case where, because I was doing some of my clinical rounds during that time, and I was positioned in a doctor's office outside of campus, and came in with a patient who I had to take the history in Japanese on. That was tough. But they had some pain in their wrist. And I was like, well, the only thing in that area where they were complaining of the pain is just basically some cartilage. So maybe it's bruised or maybe the cartilage is broken up. I don't know. But that's what I'm thinking. And I told the doctor that. And they're like, okay, cool. And moved on. The following week, we actually went over that in the same class. So it was really cool. Yeah. Another, as far as like the techniques that I practice and what I do in the office, um, I was influenced by a colleague. His name was Brian Kripe. He went to the same school that I did initially, graduated pretty much as soon as I entered. So that was his last term there. But he got me really interested in the upper cervical work and actually got some really cool results with me. I used to have pain in my side. Here, I'll stand up so you can see pain in my side, like right in there, whenever I would run. It's just really bizarre. Um, People would say, oh, well, you're not breathing fast enough, blah, 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 blah. Nothing really helped. I went and saw him. Just to me, I was like, okay, whatever. I don't really feel any different. And then the following week, I ran across the street. And usually that would provoke just excruciating pain, like somebody's just digging a knife or a spoon in my side. It was just really, really painful. And I ran across the street and I had absolutely no pain. I was like, what's going on? So I ran the rest of the way to school. And other parts of me hurt because I was out of shape, but that's part in my side that it plagued me my entire life. Didn't hurt anymore. So, still can't fully explain how that works. Kind of one of those weird things that goes along with treating the atlas. You can see a lot of just rare conditions clear up. I've seen quite a few of those. The other really good mentor that I had as far as technique wise was a doctor by the name of Charles Blum. And this guy has performed more research than I've seen any other doc that I've come across do or be involved with. And he's got links all over his website, in his research collection. It's quite a collection. And I learned some really good gems from him, especially when it comes to treating headaches, which is also involved with treating with Atlas. Because of some of the information that he's given me, for the most part, a lot of headaches, migraines, right here in the office within either instant to within 5 minutes of treating a patient in that area, it completely clears up on the table. And it's really, really rewarding to see somebody going from horrible, horrible pain to being okay again. So, let's see. Enough with the mentors. Most bizarre case that I've seen. So, I had, well, this was, I put one thing, but they kind of had two things. So, this particular patient was abused as a child, and they lost function with their wrist, and also on the same side of their body, their foot was dislocated posteriorly. So that means it's gone back. So this is the foot. It had been dislocated like this, and you could actually see the difference from side to side on the foot. And this was going on 40 to 60 years. I'm just going to give kind of a time frame, so middle age. And I was like, okay, well, you've had this all of your life. I haven't seen anything quite like this before, but I'm willing to give it a shot, if you're fine with that. And they're like, yeah, go ahead. And so for the foot, well, actually, I'll start with the wrist. So the wrist, they were not able to move their hand from side to side. Never had that functionality. And I adjusted the wrist, and for the first time in their life, they could barely move their hand from side to side. You know, you could tell finally the muscles were waking up. They're incredibly atrophied, but for the first time in their life, they could actually move their hand from side to side. It was like watching that scene from Kill Bill. If you've ever seen that movie, Wiggle the Big Toe, it was like seeing that in action, and it was just amazing. And that the first treatment, they started to move. They didn't have full range of motion, but after the second time that I worked on them, they had full range of motion, and pretty much I was just like, all right, just focus on moving your hand from side to side. Make sure it's really slow. You want to build up the musculature. You want to build up the endurance. So, you know, hopefully a year from now, you know, by doing this, you know, nice and slow, you'll build up that muscle strength so you can walk around and you can wave to your friends and all of that fun stuff. Um, so that took two. In the same visit that I knocked out the wrist for the second time, I tackled the ankle, and I was like, oh man. Because a lot of times, because the foot is a weight bearing structure, it takes a little bit longer to rehab and to work on a lot of the soft tissue in there. And so I adjusted it. Everything went back right where it was. I kinesiology taped their ankle together just to make sure that, okay, we need to start training the body to be able to weight bear where it's actually supposed to be. And so that was really exciting, really bizarre. Haven't seen anything like it since, but it was really cool. Uh, there's been a few other cases that were like, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to help here, and I should be able to knock this out fairly quickly, and it ended up being the complete opposite. I thought the thing that I didn't think I would be able to help with, I ended up knocking that out sooner than anything else. So that part's been really interesting. Um, Most exciting case. So this is more of a recent thing. I had one patient come in and they told me that they were diagnosed with Baker cyst. And traditionally, the thought process is, you know, maybe it's arthritis, something going on within the knee joint is going wrong. And so, and the typical treatment is basically going in, having a giant syringe, drain that area out, and possibly even surgical removal of that little extra sac that's created that's holding the synovial fluid. And so I was like, there's got to be another approach. There's got to be another way. And so I did some research, ran across this one guy, Knee Guru, something like that, on YouTube, and there was one guy that debated a little bit with him. It was kind of like, but they were saying it might be either a lymph or a circulatory issue that is not allowing the knee to drain the excess synovial fluid out. So it's kind of like I'm gonna put in frame of like a game, like SimCity. So you've got Teamsters that are responsible from transporting something from A to B. In the body's case, you know, that would be your blood cells. They carry the nutrients throughout your body and reabsorb some of the waste that needs to get rid of along the way out. So you're thinking maybe, okay, arteries usually delivering, veins, you might be absorbing stuff along the way back. So if it's an issue with drainage of that area, well, let's check out some of the veins. And yeah, I got into seeing where there might be issue with veins and came up with a little bit of a protocol for that. And so far, I've had 2 patients that have had issues with effusion, just like a fluid buildup in the back of the knee. Neither of them were diagnosed with Baker cyst, Um, but it was really, really cool being able to completely reduce any of that fluid buildup within one visit, one visit of working on this area. Um, and it wasn't even over the back of the knee. It was elsewhere. Um, just cleared it out. Went from boggy when you felt it to you could feel straight down to the muscle, just boom, hitting that muscle. So that was really really cool. Um, really excited to once that patient that was diagnosed with the Baker cyst to come in. I want to see how long it actually takes to knock that out, or is it viable for that or not? It's been viable so far. It's been a really cool result so far, but I'm really excited to be able to tackle that for that patient. That's what I'm currently jazzed about. um, what is something that I? What is the thing that I don't like the most about what I do? Between some of the paperwork, but I think the part that I don't like the most is usually when it comes to maybe somebody calls, they're like, what do you do? And it feels like this process of like, I need to prove myself. And a lot of times I wish I could be like, hey, bloop, 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 just mentally, telepathically share some of my experiences that I've had and how quickly people, get better. Um, so I don't really like trying to prove myself. Um, and the other thing that sometimes goes along with that are, there's some people that are incredibly disrespectful. And it's like, do you want to get better or do you not? you know, when you're giving the dog a hard time, it's just like, okay, you know, obviously I'm not the dog for you. You can go. Um, it's really frustrating when there are people that are um, abusive or they try to play games with you. Uh, I'm just to the point now where it's just like, yeah, no, you can leave. um, kind of laughing a little bit there, but it's really really annoying. Um, what do I like the most about what I do? Um, I think that it really pins down to getting results as fast as possible, and watching somebody who thought that they might have to live with XYZ pain for all of their life and be able to knock it out maybe right there, same day, like first treatment kind of thing, or maybe one or two down the road. That's really rewarding. I've had a couple people cry because they're so happy, um, and I'm pretty ambitious when it comes to getting results. So if that speaks to you, probably your guy. If that doesn't, probably not your guy. um, let's see. What did I le- What was the thing that I least expected to do in practice? So the Baker cyst was definitely one thing. I learned about it. I was like, oh yeah, I'm never going to be able to do anything about that. And here I am working on helping people with effusion in the back of their knee, popliteal effusion, whatever you want to call it. Um, and that was one thing that I had no idea I would ever be able to do that. And so now that I'm actually working on some of those people, it's really cool. It's really rewarding. Um, so never stop learning, ever, even if you think something is total whatever shenanigans. Uh, Same thing with frozen shoulder issues. We were taught this one technique. It was maybe like 5 minutes, probably less than that we spent on this one particular thing. And I was like, I'm never going to use this. And I had somebody that came in, they had gone through a ton of physical therapy. Actually, I had two people that had physical therapy. They went through several sessions. Um, but the first time this came in, I was like, well, I can try this particular adjustment, and I realized that I could combine it with some other things, and that's how I got to where I am now, where I can knock out a frozen shoulder in like one session. Some of them. Obviously, there's probably going to be some along the lines that could be a lot more complicated that I can't resolve within one treatment. But yeah, that was another thing that I at least expected to do in practice. Um, I think the other thing is I knew that getting my name out there would be difficult, but I didn't realize how difficult. Like I felt that I put pretty realistic standards on on myself for trying to advertisements, stuff like that, which is just not my forte, to be honest. But yeah, that was one thing that that I never expected it would be so insanely difficult. Um, Other times it's really easy. So it's really weird when it comes to marketing and all that fun stuff. Not so fun. Um, yeah, I never thought that I would have to sell people on what I do. I thought that once I got going, the results that I've gained and those referrals from other people would really speak for themselves. And I'm still finding that I constantly have to go, oh yeah, here I am proving myself over and over and over. Um, I can understand why I need to do that, but at the same time, it's kind of like, not a big fan of it. Uh, yeah. What else? Oh yeah, the big uh, the big elephant in the room, which was I named my practice Upper Cervical Center. And the whole premise of that is trying to get the skull properly on the spine so everything is weight bearing so that you don't experience all the degeneration that can happen over time. And so that was going to be my sole focus. I wanted to go straight after that. I tried to network with other chiropractors and say, hey, this is what I want to specialize in only. So if you've got a complicated case that you think it might be related to this, send them over. And I got one person, and it wasn't even an office that I had called. Um, but I've got incredible respect for that practitioner. They actually went through and finished both the acupuncture program and the chiropractic program at their school, which is extremely intensive. Um, People tend to lose few points in sanity going through that program, but you've got to be really bright on the ball to be able to finish it, and they did. And so I've given a few referrals there. I don't know if anyone's actually gone through to see them, but yeah, that's Hayden Wellness something. I've got the card somewhere. It's just not in front of me at the moment. Um, yeah, and so to keep my doors open, I ended up treating pretty much whatever came in. So I meant a lot of extremity issues. Um, Not a lot of docs really go into the nuts and bolts with that. Um, Extremity adjusting plus the soft tissue work for there. There's a lot of interesting things, especially with circulation, that can really help with. A lot of neuropathy related issues. Um, yeah, so wasn't expecting to really branch out to treat the rest of the body, but I did, and it's actually been really fun. Um, really, no regrets. It's fun getting those results and knocking things out. 1 to 2, 1 to 2 treatments on specific areas and seeing those results. Um, Actually, the other thing that I guess a least expected kind of thing. So I took a course in school from a neuromuscular dentist, and we went over treating TMJD. And so I was like, all right, I think I'm prepared for this, along with the upper cervical work. I think this could really help, nail this out really well. And when it came to that condition, that one ended up being, yeah, here's the general, but when it really comes down to it, any muscle or joint with the head or neck could be a major contributor to that. So that's been a fun journey of going, okay, it's not just lateral pterygoids. It could be pretty much anything going on. Sometimes maybe they're getting all the clicking and grinding because they're slouching forward. And that's causing sleep apnea issues and other stuff along those lines. So lots of interesting things that have come up and constantly learning, constantly building upon, uh, constantly just trying to push the envelope of what I can do, which has been really, really cool. Um, Even a lot of older docs that have been in the business for a long time, I'll be like, oh yeah, this I get done in like 1 to 2, and they're like, what? So, um, yeah, it's been really fun. And getting those patients that maybe they've gone through like 20, 30 docs, trying to find out why are they in such excruciating pain. Um, and being able to knock that out, within a relatively decent chunk of time has been really, really cool. Um, I wish I could count how many of those patients there were. I've seen a lot of them, and I've completely lost track of that number, but there's been quite a few that have gone through that experience. Um, and actually, I'm going to add in one more point. What was the thing that I've learned the most in practice? Um, or what would be one of the more important things that I think I've learned while being in practice? Other than just taking a good history, doing a good exam related to what's going on with the issues that patients are going through. Um, it's just really listening to what's going on in the patient's life. Um, I think one of the biggest kickers is just some of those patients that maybe it's a hormone issue where they can't lose weight, and so other doctors may actually judge them. They're like, oh yeah, you just need to go on a diet, and they're like, no, I'm here because I eat well, I make food at home, lots of salads, stuff like that. I try to get exercise, but I can't lose the weight. And so I think the biggest eye opener was just like, don't ever judge a book by its cover. Never, never, never. I've had 2 people that they had a history of being incarcerated. And both of those people showed me respect throughout the entire process. And so, on the other side, I showed them respect. So even though one of them was a little bit hostile, they were still respectful within their hostility. So that was, those were really interesting Um, and then some people with weight issues, it's like, no, you can't judge what's going on with a person based on their weight. You can't go, oh yeah, they're slamming hamburgers all the time. No, no, they might have other stuff going on. And maybe some people that is an issue. Um, but never, never, never judge a book by its cover. Uh, that's just number one thing. And I think this is just my opinion, but yeah, there's a lot of patients that have gone through things along those lines where they're judged by either their appearance or other things along those lines. History of being incarcerated, whatever, and doctors jumping on the gun and being like, "Oh yeah, you've got this, and this," when they actually don't. And so it's I think that was the most important life lesson that I really learned being in practice and seeing firsthand. This is why they're at where they're at. And these are the struggles that these people are going through. So, yeah. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope it was informative. A lot of this was just kind of spur of the moment. I think I'm only going to do one recording of this. Um, I think I covered a lot of what I wanted to talk about, and plus a little bit of extra. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them comments below on YouTube. I'm probably going to put this on Facebook as well. So if you're following there, feel free to leave a comment, and I will catch you guys later.